today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking fractions and converting them into decimals. So as you can see, converting fractions to decimals, converting percents to decimals, and then we're going to be putting it in order from least to greatest, greatest to least. Okay, this should be reviewed. Everybody should have seen this before, but we need to make sure that you can do this because we're going to be using a lot of fractions, decimals, percents as we move throughout the year. All right, so what we have here is we started off really easy, okay? 1 over 2. Everybody should know that a half is 0.5, okay? But what you're really doing here is all you're doing is dividing, okay? In order to convert a fraction to a decimal, you're just going to divide. So 1 divided by 2, and you write it just like you say it. 1 divided by 2. Now most of us, we're going to put this into the calculator. We're going to make it really easy on us. And you do it, put it into the calculator the same way. 1 divided by 2, and it gets you your answer. But for those of us that want to do it the long way, I'm going to show you this way. And then for the rest of these, I'm going to be using a calculator to make it easy on us, okay? So 2 divided, or 1 divided by 2, okay? Well, 2 doesn't go into 1, okay? So what we have to do is we put our little decimal right there, we add a 0, we're going to bring this decimal right up here, right where it is, okay? And now we're going to do 2 divided by 10, well, that's 5, and there we go. Once we don't have a remainder, we're good to go, okay? And actually, I might do a couple of these in order for us to get a little bit better at this, okay? So, long division, how we have to do this. Pretty straightforward, very, very easy, guys. Make sure you can do this. All right, so, -3/5, okay? The negative, it goes with the whole thing, right? So, -3 divided by 5, okay? Well, 5 doesn't go into 3, okay? So we're going to put our decimal, bring it up here, put our 0, and then we need to know what times 5 gives us 30. Well, 6 times 5, 30, subtract, you get 0 remainder, but that should be a negative because a negative divided by a positive gets us a negative. Remember your integer rule, so -0.6. Got to remember that. You'll mess those things up, okay? Pay attention, okay? So here, you got 2/3, 2 divided by 3. Well, 3 doesn't go into 2, so decimal, add a 0, 3 into 20, should be 6. 6 times 3 gets me 18. Now look at what happens right here. Okay, pay attention to this because this is what you're going to be looking for. I subtract, you get a 2. So I got a remainder. So now I'm going to add another 0 here. Bring that down. 3 into 20. Wait, it's 6. 6 times 3 is 18. 2. Now notice I'm starting to get this repeating remainder here. So what this is telling me is that no matter what, this is going to be a repeating number. So I get 0.6 repeating, and how I show that is with that line, 0.6 repeating, okay? That's what you're looking at, that's how it's going to go, okay? All right, very straightforward. If you're in class, we would be doing multiples of these to make sure that you got these. So if you're at home, make sure you do some extra ones of these so that you can do this, okay? All right, so same thing here. -7 divided by 4, okay? If I don't want to put that negative out here, I can put it out here. It wouldn't make any difference as long as there's only 1 there, okay? So how many times does 4 go into 7? Well, 1 time. Bring down the 4, do 3. Okay, now I got a remainder, so I'm going to put a little dot here, okay? 0. I'm going to bring up the dot. Now I'm going straight from here, okay? Bring that down. 4 into 30. Let's see, would be 7. 7 times 4 is 28. Okay? 2. 0. Bring this down. Guys, we should have seen this before, and again, I'm using calculators on most of these things, but I want you to see how this is, okay? 4 into 20, 5, gives me 20, I got 0 remainder, a negative and a positive, that makes this negative, here's my answer right there, negative 1.75, guys. All right, and we just keep doing the same thing, right? 5 divided by 3, and all we're doing is converting fractions to decimals, okay? It's just division. 5 divided by 3, 3 goes into 5 one time, 3, get 2 remainder, point, 0, bring down your 0, 3 into 20, 6, and now we know that this is going to be repeating because we just did this problem here just a second ago. 3 into 6, 18, get a 2, okay, 0, you're still going to get 20 here. These two are the same, so we're going to be stuck in this repeating loop here, okay? Now, so I know that this is a repeating, okay? That's what we're looking at right there, all right? Okay, C5, so we're going to come back here. I'm going to erase this a little bit so that we can see this nice and cleanly, okay? You have 1 4/5, guys. When you're doing this and you're converting this to a decimal, this is your whole number, 1. Now take and just deal with this. Just divide that. 4 divided by 5, okay? And again, all I'm doing is I'm taking my little calculator here, and I'm going 4 divided by 5, okay? And that should get you your answer. 4 divided by 5 gets you 0.8, so 1.8, okay? That's all you're doing, okay? Pay attention to it, okay? Make sure this thing will save you on these things. It makes it a whole lot easier, okay? Now, converting percent to decimal. We've done converting fractions to decimals. At this point, you should see how this works. Because all this work here, your little calculator will do for you if you know how to plug it in correctly. But make sure you can actually do long division, okay? Don't just use the calculator because it's easier. Make sure you can do that long division. All right, converting percents to decimals. Here's what you're doing. You got 20%, and here's your decimal. You're going to take and move your decimal. If it's a percent, you're going to move it 2 spaces to the left. 1, 2. 0.2. There's your decimal, as it really is that easy, okay? Percentage to decimal, okay? So you have a percentage, you're taking it to a decimal. Very, very simple. You have 85%, here's your decimal, two spaces to the left. 1, 2.85. Again, should be reviewed, but still, you should know that. All right, 120%, okay? You have 120, here's your decimal, right where it's been, right? 2 spaces to the left. 1, 2, 1.2, okay? Very simple. Next problem, you have 0.25. Here's your decimal now. Still 2 spaces to the left. 1, 2. Okay? You're going to fill this in with 0. So 0.0025. Okay? Very, very simple. Later we'll do decimal to percentage, but right now we're just taking percentage to decimals. Okay? Very simple. Now, ordering. When you do the ordering, pay attention and watch. Least to greatest or greatest to least, make sure you know which one's going which. Okay? So now I have 0.95, negative 6/8, negative 6/8, negative 0.33, and a 7. And I want to do the smallest to the biggest. Okay? Least, smallest to biggest. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come through here and I'm going to convert anything that's not a decimal into a decimal. makes it a whole lot easier. And I'm gonna use a calculator in this, and just do it really quickly. So, I'm gonna take -6/8, and I'm gonna do 6 divided by 8, and I get -0.75, and then I'm gonna do the same thing to the 1/7. 1 divided by 7, and I get really big number, but I'm going to go out 3 spaces. 0.143. Okay? Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to look at these, and I want the smallest one to the biggest one. Okay? The smallest number to the biggest. Now remember, negatives are smaller than positives, and the bigger the negative number, the smaller the number actually is. Okay? So negative 0.75 is going to be smaller than negative 0.33. Okay? But then 0.143 is bigger than this one, but smaller than that one. Okay? 0.95. And what I'm looking at here, I'm looking at the negative numbers first, okay, because those are going to be the smallest. And then I'm looking at this number right here, and this one tells me which one's actually bigger and which one's smaller, okay? When I get to these, this number right here tells me that this number is smaller than this number, okay? Remember your place values, all right? Very, very simple. You guys should have seen this stuff before, okay? Pretty straightforward. Now right here, greatest to least, or biggest to smallest. Okay, again, I'm going to come through here and I'm going to turn these all into decimals. Makes it so much easier. So, -1 7/10, so 7/10, 7 divided by 10, which you should know, but we'll do it anyways, 0.7, okay? -1.7, okay? And then over here, I have 1 7/10, which should be the positive version of this, right? 1.7. Now I'm just going to go through and put them in order, okay? Biggest to smallest. And actually, if you look at this, when I rewrite this, it's going to just be in order backwards, right? 1.7, 1.7, 0.49, okay? Now look, -1.7, -1.1. That one is bigger than that one because it's a negative number, right? -1.14, -1.7. Guys, this is not hard, but you got to know how to do it, okay? Pay attention. Don't make simple mistakes, all right? If you have any questions on any of this, let me know, guys. We'll be doing a lot of practice on this on getting on that.